Back in Pittsburgh, Rich, good to see you're well prepared. The scarf and sweater is going at the moment. 46 degrees. We'll get colder. We'll see some windy conditions later on. This Doug Marrone in his first year as head coach of the Bills, following 4 years at Syracuse. And Mike Tomlin in his 7th season as head man of the Steelers. He's had great success over the years, but this has been a rough one. Steelers have won the toss. They will receive. You're looking at Felix Jones, 6-year man out of Arkansas, averaging 25 yards a return. And Dan Carpenter will kick it for the Bills. Steelers at 2-6. The 2 wins at the Jets here at home against Baltimore, Buffalo, 3 up, 6 down, and they've lost a number of tough games. Now Emmanuel Sanders takes it in the end zone, so they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. And here is Ben Roethlisberger looking for his 100th win as a starter. That includes regular and postseason.
Yeah, Marvin, this is a quarterback and an offense that are capable of big performances. And as Ben told us on Friday, if they handle this Buffalo defensive front and block them up, they should be able to take advantage of some matchups versus that secondary.
The running back is Le'Veon Bell, 2nd-round pick out of Michigan State. He's been averaging just under 4 yards per carry. And the handoff to Bell. Reaches out near the 25, picked up 4. Now look at the Steelers offensively. Fernando Velasco, the starter at center for the injured All-Pro Marquise Pouncey. The backs and receivers, Antonio Brown, 61 receptions to lead the NFL. Brown, a 4-year man out of Central Michigan.
A big bend down the bottom of the screen.
And they're in the Wildcat. Bell took the direct snap. So the Steelers showing a different look here at the start. Buffalo has played very well defensively, particularly up front. Mario Williams, 11 sacks, among the leaders. Kiko Alonso is having a sparkling rookie year, leads the Bills in tackles. And the secondary, free safety Jarris Byrd is a 2-time Pro Bowler.
Good look at Mike Patton, the defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills.
Bell looking for the first down. And does pick it up. Pittsburgh Steelers have dropped their last 2 at Oakland last week. The game we talked about, losing to New England 55-31. Steelers giving up 55 points, 610 yards, both franchise records. And Mike Tomlin said we couldn't stop the run, we couldn't stop the pass. Not a good combination.
No, it was not the type of performance that they're proud of, or one that we typically see from a Pittsburgh defense.
That's the tight end Miller in motion. Play action. Roethlisberger floats one, and a flag is down. As Big Ben threw it away, Antonio Brown was in the area. The referee is Scott Green.
Holding. Offense. Defense. Number 24. 5-yard penalty. First down.
It's on the right corner, Stephon Gilmore.
And Stephon Gilmore is going to be covering Antonio Brown and gets him right there. And he's just grabbing a hold of him after 5 yards down the field, and official right there to make the call.
Antonio Brown, 61 receptions, over 700 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's also thrown a pass, a 15-yard completion. 3 wideouts for the Steelers. Roethlisberger from the gun. And the handoff to Bell. This is a big weekend for football here in Pittsburgh. Last night here at Heinz Field, Pitt rallied to beat Notre Dame 28-21, avenging that triple overtime loss at Notre Dame last year.
A good look at Doug Marrone, the Bills head coach, and had a great visit with him last night. He's excited to get his young quarterback back, but he's excited to see how this defense matches up against the Pittsburgh offense that put up some big numbers last week on the road in New England.
Second down and 8 for the Steelers. And it is Bell who is gang tackled. Arthur Moats leading it.
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Marv, just 28th in rushing, averaging just a little over 73 yards a game. And I think there's two big reasons why they have struggled running the football. First and foremost, they've been hit hard by injuries up front along that offensive line. And then secondly, they've been behind in a lot of games. You look at Todd Haley there, the offensive coordinator, they've had to throw the ball more than they would have liked.
Steelers with a 3rd down and 5. We've gone 3 minutes of this first quarter. Crowd very quiet. Another sellout. 320 consecutive sellouts for the Steelers. And Roethlisberger goes sideline and has a first down with Cotchery able to break a tackle. Goes for 25. Stopped by Nickell Robey.
Well, Jericho Cotchery, I talked about this in the open. He's got the hot hand right now. 3 touchdowns last week, a team-high 7 receptions. He's been very good on 3rd down. He can work in the slot. They can move him outside. He gives them great versatility in the passing game.
Stephon Gilmore missed the tackle on Cotchery, and then Robey was able to get to him. It's a first down for Pittsburgh at the Buffalo 33-yard line. Bell and Will Johnson are the running back. Johnson, a fullback, rarely handles the ball. Here's the swing out, and Bell is stopped. Stopped for a loss. Bill saw that coming. Kiko Alonso was right on the scene.
Well, he's got top-notch instincts. I mean, you could just see this when he came out of college. I mean, it was a great job in special situations, screens, reverses. He can run sideline to sideline, terrific tackle. He makes a lot of plays for this Buffalo defense.
Kiko Alonso out of Oregon. Bill's second pick on the second round. Loss of 3 on the play. It is a 2nd and 13.
Bill's going to play a lot of man-to-man coverage.
Roethlisberger fires downfield and is picked off. Intercepted by Bird. Nice cut by Bird at midfield. Another cut to the 30. What a return by Jairus Byrd. That pass intended for Marcus Wheaton. So Roethlisberger is picked off for the 10th time this season.
And he never holds the free safety, Jairus Byrd. Jairus Byrd follows Ben Roethlisberger the whole way and makes an easy interception.
Moment ago, Ben Roethlisberger picked off 2 interceptions last week against the Patriots, number 10 this season. What a return by Jairus Byrd for 58 yards, and Buffalo goes to work offensively. C.J. Spiller with a short pickup met by William Gay, the left corner.
Well, they're trying to throw the go route, but look where the safety is. He's already on the near hash. He doesn't have very far to go, and Ben never stares down the safety to hold Byrd. It's an easy interception for a Pro Bowl safety like Jairus Byrd.
2nd down and 7. Spiller remaining in the backfield. Series of stutter steps as he gets inside the 25-yard line. An advance of 3.
Well, when you throw interceptions, you've got to try and make a tackle. Ben Roethlisberger gets knocked down. Marcus Wheaton, a good hustle play here. He's the intended receiver, comes all the way back to make the tackle. That's not the way the Steelers were looking to start on offense.
Fred Jackson has come on now for C.J. Spiller. 3rd down and 4 for E.J. Manuel, making his return after missing the last 4 games with a sprained knee. Got off to a good start over his first 5 and got hurt in early October in the game against Cleveland. Pass intended for T.J. Graham, and a penalty marker comes flying.
Well, there's really no reason for pass interference there. I mean, I don't even know if it was catchable, and they were short of the sticks anyway.
Interference. Defense. Number 22. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
It's on the left corner, William Gay, who was originally a 5th-round draft pick of the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, just simply not playing the ball.
E.J. Manuel Plays with so much poise, as Mario Williams told us. The word for EJ is calm. Looking at a 1st and 10 at the Steeler 20-yard line. Manuel throws the middle. He has Spiller. Stopped by Timmons. Look at that Buffalo offensive line. One-time Steeler. Doug Legursky, the starter at left guard. Craig Urbach, also a former Steeler. The backs and receivers. The Bills' leading receiver, Stevie Johnson, will be the favorite target of E.J. Manuel, according to the head coach, Doug Marrone. 2nd down and 6. They go back to the ground. Spiller looks to go wide, could not, as he's submarined by Gay. Gay would not allow the turn. Pittsburgh defensively looking to turn it from the disaster last week, led by Brett Kiesel up front. Lawrence Timmons, although playing with a broken hand, is Pittsburgh's leading tackler. It's a secondary featuring the 7-time Pro Bowler Troy Polamalu. Last week in Foxborough, Rich, a very long day for the defensive backs.
Yeah, they were frustrated. It's a veteran group, Marv, too. They're not used to losing. Got a group with 41 years experience when you look at this Steelers secondary.
3rd down and 7 for Buffalo. They continue the shuffle at running back. Fred Jackson returns. Manuel with the long look. He's in trouble. Spins away and runs to the 10 and slides inside the 10-yard line.
Well, this is something that's been pounded into E.J. Manuel's head. When you pull the ball down and run, you've got to either slide or throw it away. Now, why? I don't understand why this is. Well, he must have saw Worlds chasing him from behind, but he's learning to slide. He cannot afford to take any unnecessary hits.
Yeah, we talked about this with him yesterday. What have you learned of sitting out? He said, yeah, go down and slide or throw it away.
Yeah, he said it hurts a little more than in college and it lasts a little longer. He's already been knocked out twice.
It's a 1st and goal. Jackson pounds his way inside the 5, refusing to go down. The Buffalo Bills are 31st in percentage of times they have scored touchdowns inside the red zone. Just 11 for 26. That's 42%. Only the Jaguars are worse.
Yeah, Denver's completing almost 80%, Marv, just by comparison. They haven't executed in the red zone, and it hasn't been the scheme. And the problem is this +5 area, they've really struggled. They don't have that big back that can slam it up in there.
Well, Fred Jackson tried to slam it, but was turned back by the outside linebacker, LaMar Woodley. Jackson picking up 2.
Well, one of the things they went back and studied, and they looked at teams that were successful in this part of the field, and it wasn't like it was anything magical. A lot of teams have taller receivers that they put out there wide. They simply throw the fade route to them. And the Bills don't really have that player right now. They've got some smaller receivers that beat you with their speed and their quickness. This is the guy you look for down here.
Now the Bills going with 3 tight ends, and Jackson is the runner. But Manuel will throw. It's intended for Stevie Johnson.
Yeah, and you got to give him a chance. You see the frustration there from Stevie Johnson. If you're E.J. Manuel, you've got some time. He just rushed to throw, but you've got to give Stevie Johnson a chance to at least go up and make the play. I mean, look where this ball lands. And this is just reps. You talk about being away from football for a month. You can see there's just not a lot of confidence there between quarterback and receiver. Got to be able to develop some trust in that situation.
Here's Dan Carpenter attempting a 20-yarder. So the Bills, following that interception and a 58-yard return by Bird, have to settle for a field goal. 3-0 Buffalo.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Mercedes-Benz and the all-new CLA. And by Quicken Loans for a mortgage experience that's engineered to amaze.
Welcome back to Heinz Field, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's Dan Carpenter gets set to kick it away. 9 plays, 28 yards, leading to the field goal. It's a combination of Felix Jones and Emmanuel Sanders back. Sanders the deep man, and Sanders lets it fly over his head. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. So Ben Roethlisberger and the Steeler offense make their return after this. Steelers start out from their 20-yard line. Earlier today, there were reports, according to Steeler sources, that Ben Roethlisberger will be asking the Steelers to explore trade options after this season. They fielded offers for him last offseason, according to this report. And there had been speculation, remember last year, Rich, that he and offensive coordinator Todd Haley were not exactly on the same page.
Yeah, I think that's ludicrous, Mark. I can't imagine a two-time Super Bowl winner, a guy still right in the prime of his career, that you'd even consider moving him.
Roethlisberger out of the gun, and that pass through the hands of the tight end Heath Miller. Check out this quote from Big Ben's representatives, who said he has a lot left in the tank, is 100% committed to winning more championships with the Steelers, and saying basically he's not going anywhere.
Right, and I just think he's frustrated. I think the whole organization's frustrated. Remember now, they're 8-8 a year ago. They're 2-6 right now, and it's not a lot of fun when you're on your back a lot. He's been sacked 31 times already. It's the second most in the NFL.
Now the running back, Le'Veon Bell, is flanked wide to the right. Short flip to Sanders, and nothing there. And here the anxiety and boos from this crowd off that loss of 3.
You know, I think they have a little bit of an identity crisis right now, Marv, when you look at this offense. I mean, they've had all kind of changes up front to the offensive line. You've got this young back that you're trying to feature, Le'Veon Bell, and yet some weeks he gets it more than others. And then you've got a quarterback that wants to throw it a lot. And I think there's a little bit of a power struggle. So much has been made of this relationship between Ben Roethlisberger and Todd Haley. My sense is there's some frustration, a lot of frustration with Ben Roethlisberger. 3rd and 13,
and he airs it out. And pass intended for Sanders over his head. Leotis McKelvin, the left corner, on the coverage. And the punting unit will come out. Well, you look at the Steelers, Rich, obviously, as you think back to recent Steeler teams, quite a difference on the offensive line. Quite a difference defensively. There have been injuries, and it's not the same talent that we have seen in past years.
And that's really where it all starts. A good football team is strong down the middle. Good offensive line, good defensive line play. The Steelers haven't gotten that through the first 8 games.
And punt. McKelvin was back deep. And Matt McBriar, who replaced Zoltan Mesko, released, allowing McBriar to come on with a very poor punt.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AT&T. Rethink possible. And by Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry, with 5 times the selection of ordinary jewelry stores.
A 27-yard punt by Matt McBriar, making for the short field for the Bills. They start out at the Pittsburgh 44. Here's Spiller looking to make the turn, and they cut him off. Once again, C.J. Spiller to the edge, but that's it. Cut off by William Gay.
Well, the one thing we know about E.J. Manuel is the ball comes out quick. He doesn't hold it very long, makes quick decisions, and that's by design. This is good to see his mobility, even after that knee injury. And, of course, it's about developing some chemistry between himself and Stevie Johnson. Stevie's had to play with 3 different quarterbacks through the first 9 weeks.
2nd down and 11 off the loss of a yard. Play fake. Manuel's pass almost picked off. Lamar Woodley with a shot at it, stepping in front of Stevie Johnson.
Well, he's going to want this one back, E.J. Manuel. Stevie Johnson, they get the matchup they want. Stevie on the linebacker, Woodley. He's got to be able to use more of the field. He's got to lead him. He can't throw him back into coverage. Good effort there, though, by Stevie Johnson, knocking that one away from Lamar Woodley.
Manuel looking at a 3rd down. At 11, Fred Jackson comes back in, coming on for C.J. Spiller. Looks to be some confusion now as Johnson lines up in the slot.
And this is where he's got to be good. He's got to be able to sort through all these disguises.
Hand off to Jackson. And he is hit hard. Stopped just shy of the 40. Lawrence Timmons, the first to get to him, as Jackson went for 5. And that's it.
Very conservative call here on 3rd and 11. I think they were anticipating pressure and hoping that maybe Fred Jackson could find a crease. That's what he's going to have to do. E.J. Manuel sort through all those disguises with their fronts and coverages, and I think take some shots on third down against this Pittsburgh defense.
So Brian Mormon into punt from his 45. Mormon's 5th game for Buffalo, replacing Sean Howell. Fair catch called for by Antonio Brown. So a 25-yard punt, and Big Ben of the Steelers return to the offense. Well, with NFL Mobile, you can get live video access to exclusive premium content on your smartphone. Call ** NFL to download, or go to NFL.com/mobile to learn more. Message and data rates, as you know, Rich, may apply. So the Steelers starting out 1st and 10 from the 16-yard line. Handoff to Bell. Reaches out to the 20, met by Alonso, picked up 4.
I think one of the ways you take the edge off of Mario Williams, who already has 11 sacks, is you run the football right at him. And we'll see the Pittsburgh Steelers utilize Mike Adams, their former starting left tackle. He'll be in the game a lot as an extra, as a tight end that will report. You'll see him over there, and he'll be on the right side. They'll move him over to the left side and hopefully get a matchup where he can start chipping away and getting after a guy like Mario Williams.
Mike Adams, second-year man out of Ohio State at 6'7". So hesitation there by Bell, trying to pick his way, but Nigel Bradham was able to stack him up. Picked up the 2 on that play. Getting back to the subject of Mario Williams, Super Mario with those 11 sacks, second in the NFL. Robert Mathis of the Colts with 11 and a half. Actually, Williams is tied with Justin Houston of the Chiefs, who also has 11.
And you're seeing the Bills move him around a little bit. He'll be on the right side, he'll be on the left side. I think he's going to try and work away from the extra offensive lineman. Good pressure look here by Buffalo.
And that Bills front 4 has played very well despite the 3-6 record. Roethlisberger completes short of the first down, able to connect with Emmanuel Sanders. 3-yard gain. Roby on the tackle. And it's 3 and out for the Steelers.
Well, we look at that Buffalo secondary, and they weathered some storms early, this defense, with regard to the injury bug, particularly in their secondary. They were without Stephon Gilmore and Jarvis Byrd for much of the first half of the season. They have been playing a lot better since they were able to get both of them back on the field.
So here is Matt McBriar, who got off a 27-yarder in his first attempt. Not much here as McKelvin on the return is bumped out of bounds. This goes for 36 and a 4-yard return. Update time. Let's go to JB and Dan Marino.
Nick Foles still in the groove. Oh, yeah, he's in the groove. Last week, 7 touchdowns, little play-action pass. He steps up, going deep to Deshaun Jackson. Concentration on the football, 55 yards and a touchdown, 7-0 Philly.
Including the bounce, I'm sure Rich Gannon would say that's exactly as I drew it up.
Yeah.
Marv Albert and Rich Gannon.
You're not lying, JB, and you're right about Nick Foles. He throws the deep ball, I think, just maybe not as well as any quarterback, but he really throws the deep ball well.
Well, Fred Jackson is gang tackled, picked up about a yard on the play. Hey, Tuesday on CBS, a Person of Interest 3-episode event begins. And this time, a hero will fall. Don't miss a new Person of Interest Tuesday at 10, 9 Central, only CBS. 2nd and 9 for the Bills. They have a 3-0 lead with just under a minute and a half remaining in this first quarter. Short pass to Johnson. And Stevie Johnson taken out of bounds at midfield by Troy Polamalu.
I really feel the Bills are going to cater their attack and game plan to where E.J. Manuel is physically and mentally, and I think a lot of it is going to focus on the running game. I think you talk about getting him off to a good start. He hasn't played in a month, and you do that by running the football successfully and mixing in some play action and staying in manageable situations, 3rd and 5 or less against Dick LeBeau and this Pittsburgh defense.
Dick LeBeau, who had a game last week that he would like to forget about. Hall of Famer, tremendous defensive back. spent more than 50 years in the NFL. Here's Manuel. It is dropped. Dropped by Johnson. Took a hit from behind by the corner Cortez Allen.
Well, they're going to run a little option route. Stevie just hooks up Cortez Allen right there, and that thing came out kind of hot. It's a tough one. You throw it behind a receiver that's working from the left to the right.
Brian Moorman coming on for a second time. Will boot it from his 36-yard line to Antonio Brown. Brown back at the 10. And again, a short punt. The wind gusts certainly have affected the punters here in this first quarter. This is a 26-yarder from Moorman. Fantasy football fans get a fresh start with Player Challenge, a full-week game that now includes even bigger cash prizes. See rules and sign up at cbsports.com/challenge.
Well, the Pittsburgh defense, Marv, has been put in some tight spots. They have the turnover early. They can go out and hold them to a field goal. Buffalo gets the ball around midfield in the second possession. They force a 3-and-out. Another situation where they had good field position. Buffalo hasn't been able to do anything and take advantage of really good field position here in the first quarter.
Pittsburgh starts from their 24-yard line. Felix Jones now the running back. Roethlisberger, short flip to the tight end Michael Palmer. Palmer, 4-year man. Out of Clemson, goes for 8. Arthur Moats on the stop.
And you look at these first 3 possessions, and those 3-and-outs are they're demoralizing to a football team. As you look at Todd Haley there, he's trying to get Ben Roethlisberger back in rhythm. And you think about the first series, the interception. You've got to get this guy feeling comfortable again in the pocket.
52.
Once again, Felix Jones. The lone setback.
180.
And here's Jones looking for the marker. He is very close. May have to measure. As this first quarter comes to a close, the Bills with a 3-0 lead on the Steelers. We'll be back to Pittsburgh after these messages. Second quarter here in Pittsburgh. They did bring the yardsticks out, about a foot short of a first down. Jonathan Dwyer has now checked in, coming on for Le'Veon Bell. So Dwyer and Johnson are the running backs for this third and about a foot. The handoff to Dwyer, and he picks it up. Dwyer, 4-year man from Georgia Tech, goes for 6, met by Denarius Searcy. Dwyer actually a pleasant surprise last season, 623 yards rushing. Not Steeler-like, but it led the team.
No, they really went back and forth last year with the running backs. They finally feel that they found their guy in Le'Veon Bell, who I think Marvin's going to be a terrific player once he figures things out.
Felix Jones is back, but he flanks wide left side. Empty backfield for Roethlisberger. A 3-0 lead for Buffalo. There's the pump. Now he throws. It is incomplete, intended for Antonio Brown.
When they get in this empty, no backfield set, the quarterback, can't keep holding it. The ball has to eventually come out. And you see right there, he unfortunately chooses the wrong receiver. Antonio Brown doubled there by a linebacker and a corner.
Antonio Brown leads the NFL 61 catches, looking for his first year today. 2nd and 10. Felix Jones remains in the backfield. And this is Jones finding a hole. Jarris Byrd able to haul him in, but Jones goes for 9.
Well, they're having a lot of success running the ball over the left side of that offensive line behind Ramon Foster and Kelvin Beachum. This is a team that has to be able to run the football more effectively on the early downs. And I really think the key is going to be this offensive line. They have to play well in this one. They have struggled up front because of all the injuries and changing players in and out. They haven't really been able to develop a lot of consistency and continuity with that group.
Third down and 1. Dwyer returns to the backfield. Here's Dwyer looking for the opening. Good second effort. Moats makes the stop, but Dwyer able to pick up the first down.
Yeah, and Jonathan Dwyer is a guy that runs over his pads and low center of gravity. Just see him get in there behind that offensive line. Mike Adams in there again, providing some more bulk along that offensive line.
This is still a team that last season went 8-8. They lost 5 games by 3 points apiece. They're in the Wildcat once again, and it is Bell looking to take the snap, and on a reverse, it is Sanders. Sanders gets down across the 30, across the 25. 25-yard play.
Well, I think what they want to do, you see Sanders, he's going to come across. Ben Roethlisberger out here, he's going to step back. I think they're trying to throw the ball down the middle of the field. But what happens is I think Sanders just decides it's too tight. He decides to keep it. Now Mario Williams, he's fooled. He's got his eyes in the backfield. He's not able to make the play on the sideline.
So a first down at the 25-yard line. And the give us to Bell. Finds an opening and gets inside the 20. Close to the marker. Stopped by Stefan Charles as Bell picked up 9. Well, coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, as the guys get ready, JB, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Second down and 1. And once again, it is Bell, and has the first down. Alan Branch made the tackle as Bell gains 6.
Well, the right side of that Buffalo defensive line is going to swell up because Pittsburgh is just running the football right down their throats. The majority of these runs have come to the left side. They are winning the battle up front.
And doing it against a defensive unit that, despite the record of 3-6, has played well. First and goal for the Steelers, and they have not been efficient in the red zone. Once again, it is Bell. Manny Lawson able to get to him.
Well, if you study this Buffalo defense, and we've talked to a number of different head coaches, or even Rex Ryan, Mike Tomlin told us on Friday as well, both these guys have defensive backgrounds that, you know, it all starts with Kyle Williams. He does all the dirty work that allows others around him to make plays. Guys like Mario Williams and Kiko Alonso. You look at number 95 in the middle of your screen there. This is a guy that is a real difference maker for the Buffalo Bills up front. He is their 3 technique, their under tackle.
This is the 11th play of the drive. It started at the 24-yard line. Here's Bell trying to bounce it outside, and he is stopped. The initial hit by Jim Leonard, and there's no gain on the plays. You look at Mike Tomlin.
A good look at Le'Veon Bell, and he's a guy that he can bounce it, but typically you see this guy, he's a one-cut downhill runner. He's going to use his size and his physicalness to try and push the pile.
Third and goal from the 7. Bell is to the right of Roethlisberger. 3-0 Buffalo. Roethlisberger taken down for the second time in this first half. Kyle Williams coming up with his 5th sack of the season.
They were talking about Kyle Williams. He's just going to beat the right tackle. Guy Whimper right upfield. Ben Roethlisberger doesn't have a chance. He sets the tone with how they play up front. He's clearly the leader of that group. Terrific motor. He really brings it each time out.
So here is Sean Sweezum, 16 of 18 for the season, attempting a 36-yard field goal. Has an angle to the left, looking to tie it. And he does. The Steelers and the Bills tied at 3. On the last drive, Rich, Bills not able to get the offense on the field. Pittsburgh had it for nearly 7 minutes, and it ends up as a 36-yard field goal.
Yeah, they got something out of it. And again, you're just trying to find a way to have some production against a Buffalo defense that's played pretty well here in the first half.
Marquise Goodwin, perhaps the fastest player in the NFL, although he's been sent back recently by a pulled hamstring, but he is back deep for this kickoff from Sean Sweezum.
He had the fastest 40 time at the combine, and he's got world-class speed. He was a track star in college, and not only has he helped him in the return game, but he's going to be a really fine receiver as well.
Rookie out of Texas. They're going to have to hold it because of the wind. In fact, Marquise Goodwin, also a member of the U.S. Olympic team, is a long jump specialist.
Gets your attention.
Yes. This is deep in the end zone, and Goodwin lets it fly over his head. They'll bring it up to the 20-yard line. E.J. Manuel getting set to take the field. We'll be back to Pittsburgh in a moment. Bills getting set to start out from their 20. It's been a quarterback carousel for Buffalo. E.J. Manuel started the season, went down with the sprained knee and played well. Thad Lewis came on and actually did a decent job. Then he suffered bruised ribs. And then last week in Buffalo in the game against Kansas City, Jeff Toole, the quarterback, rookie from Washington State, and actually had the lead at halftime, but 3 turnovers by Buffalo led to 17 Kansas City points. So the Chiefs continued on their merry ways by coming up with the 23-13 victory. Now E.J. Manuel back in action after sitting out the 4 games. Here's the handoff to Jackson. But Jackson tried to make the turn and could not. He's stopped by Lawrence Timmons, may have picked up a yard.
And I give offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett Marv a lot of credit. I mean, he's had to call plays for 3 different quarterbacks the first 9 weeks, and all were young and inexperienced players. 2 rookies who had never started a game, obviously, and of course a third-year player, Thaddeus Lewis, who had just 1 previous start. So that's not easy with so much youth and inexperience.
Manuel on second down, able to complete, has the first down. Johnson able to break a tackle. Johnson gets to the 44. Lamar Woodley making the stop. It's a 23-yard pass play. Shermarco Thomas, the rookie from Syracuse, not able to hang on to Stevie Johnson.
Well, I really like the fact that they're starting to move Stevie Johnson around a little bit more in this offense, and they're creating more opportunities for him in the middle of the field.
And on that play, Shermarco Thomas shake it up as he took that spin move from Johnson. Shermarco Thomas, who was not able to contain Stevie Johnson, trying to walk it off. What a move by Johnson to spin away, pick up the first down. It's a long count here from Manuel. The handoff to Jackson. On a sweep. Talking with Stevie Johnson last night, he said in the offseason he actually works out by playing basketball, particularly going to the crossover. That move he just made against Thomas, as close as you could get to a basketball crossover.
Well, he is a very creative route runner, right? And I think that you talk about that short area quickness, and he plays a lot of hoops in the offseason. He's constantly winning on the slant route because corners have a very difficult time getting their hands on him at the line of scrimmage.
Second down and 6. Time for Manuel, and the pass is off the mark, but a flag comes flying. A pass intended for Johnson, and he looked like he was interfered with by Cortez Allen.
Well, Stevie Johnson can be a handful, and if I could give one piece of advice to E.J. Manuel, it would be to find number 13 more often. I mean, he is clearly your best receiver.
Interference, defense, number 28. Ball will be spotted at the spot of the foul. First down.
Well, you just watch. This is a play where Shermarco Thomas gets injured. Look at him spin. Now he's able to, kind of with his strength, he keeps his legs moving. He just really knocks Thomas off, and he's able to finish. But tough guy, and a lot stronger than you think with the ball in his hands.
Pass is dropped by the tight end Chris Gregg, a rookie out of Arkansas, as Manuel looked to swing it out.
Well, Stevie Johnson's got to be thrilled, Marv, to have E.J. Manuel back. Look at those numbers, yards per reception with Toole and Thaddeus Lewis. They jump up significantly with E.J. Manuel. We just saw a drop. Too many drops last week, and it wasn't just one person. I think they had about 6 drops in their loss to Kansas City.
Second down and 10. Off play action, Manuel throwing on the run, intended for T.J. Graham. Covered by William Gay. Buffalo Bills at 3-6 coming into today. They've lost their last 2, 4 of the last 5. Their 3 wins at home against Carolina in a 1-point game, at home over Baltimore 23-20, and at Miami in a 2-point game. They've had a number of very tough losses.
Yeah, a young football team, a young quarterback, and you have to learn how to finish games when you have opportunities to put teams away.
Third down and 10, just under 7 left in this first half. Manuel with good protection and is off the mark. Incomplete, intended for Johnson. He was covered by Polamalu.
Well, they bring pressure, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo does a nice job picking it up. And E.J. Manuel's got tight coverage. And one of the things we know at this level is that you've got to be able to make these throws in tight coverage. And when talking to some of the Pittsburgh Steelers defenders, they said that he's a guy that wants to see them open as opposed to throwing them open. Every throw in this league is contested.
Third punt of the day for Brian Mormon. Had to get a fair catch. Antonio Brown on that grab. 32-yard punt. This is not a good first half with the heavy winds here in Pittsburgh. Not a good one for the punters. Better than 65,000 here at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. The game is tied at 3. Roethlisberger 5 for 9, 31 yards to this point as the Steelers take over. Le'Veon Bell, once again, they gang tackle, led by Manny Lawson. Pickup of 2 on the play. Look at the AFC North. Cincinnati playing Baltimore and trailing 10-0 in the second quarter. It is a bye week for Cleveland. Cincinnati on top. The Steelers at 2 up, 6 down.
Well, they've got 8 to play, 5 at home, 4 in the division, and 6 in the AFC. And really would have to go 7-1, I think, in the final 8 games to maybe even be considered for a playoff spot.
It's been done before, but it is such a long shot, as we touched on at the start, as Bell somehow got away. Le'Veon Bell with a burst, hauled down by Jairus Byrd, but it's a 34-yard play.
This is really where Ben Roethlisberger's at his best. You know, when things begin to collapse around him, he's able to keep his eyes down the field, keep his poise, and just simply flick it out to Le'Veon Bell, and Le'Veon Bell does the rest. That's the great thing about Ben Roethlisberger. He's so big, he's so strong in the pocket, and despite the rush, he never takes his eyes off those receivers down the field.
A shovel pass from Roethlisberger, so first down at midfield. As we come up on 5 minutes to go in this first half, Roethlisberger throwing off to the right flat. Sanders with the catch. That's good for 4. He was covered up by Lawson.
I don't know if the wind down the field, Marv, is really affecting these short passes, but we've seen a number of low throws today from Ben Roethlisberger. I don't see anything in his footwork. This thing just comes out a little low. Receivers really on both teams having to adjust to some of these low throws with the wind here in Pittsburgh.
Sanders to the left, Brown is to the right. Dwyer, the running back. He's the feature back. He's in the backfield with Johnson. Sidearm to Dwyer, and he was tripped up by Alonso. Gain of 3.
Well, you can count on at least a half dozen screens from Pittsburgh each week, whether they're wide receiver screens to the running back to the tight end. They have all of them, and you're going to see Jonathan Dwyer. He's going to bluff the last man on the line of scrimmage, Mario Williams, and he tries to get behind that big offensive line.
Roethlisberger looking at a 3rd down and 3. They stay with Dwyer as the running back. Dwyer cutting to his right and nowhere to go. Tried the middle, has the 1st down. Running it out at the Buffalo 35-yard line.
We always talk about how important it is to set the edge on the defense, and you can't allow Mario Williams. He's going to peek back inside. Once he peeks back inside, that allows Dwyer to bounce the ball to the edge. Really nice patience here by Jonathan Dwyer. It's no crease inside, but he's got the speed and the elusiveness to get on the edge of that Buffalo defense.
Steelers 1st down at the Bills 35-yard line. Once again, Dwyer. This time he does go the middle. And works his way inside the 30, met by Alonso. Picked up 6 on the play. Update time again, JB and Dan Marino.
Tavon Austin, I-98.
Yeah, the Rams are waiting for big plays from Tavon Austin, and this one is a huge play, punt return. Down the sidelines, 98 yards for a touchdown. The Rams also have a fumble return for a touchdown, 21-0 Rams.
Marv was that fast in high school as well. Marv Albert and Rich Gannon.
All right, JB, we saw the Rams last week in St. Louis losing to the Tennessee Titans, who are having their difficulties with the Jaguars, gunning for their very first win. Low pass thrown by Roethlisberger, not handled by Antonio Brown.
And another low throw. This one, to me, looks like it's just rushed. You know, sometimes when you try and speed it up and get the ball out there real quick, you rush it. Maybe a little bit of an overstride there, but a low throw, a difficult throw to handle if you're Antonio Brown.
3rd down and 4 at the Buffalo 29. No catches to this point for Antonio Brown, who leads the NFL in receptions. And now Roethlisberger, unhappy with what he was looking at, takes a timeout. First timeout called by the Steelers in this first half. Game is tied at 3. Back in Pittsburgh, Marv Albert, Rich Gannon. A look at the numbers on the 2 quarterbacks.
Not a lot of fireworks.
Nope, not much
for
going
either
on.
team. No, really. You look at Buffalo right now, just 63 yards of offense in the first half, and both teams have had opportunities down this part of the field and have had to settle for field goals. As E.J. Manuel looks over the pictures from above.
E.J. spending some time above, right next to the offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, first 3 weeks during the course of recovering from the knee injury. Said he actually, it was tremendous perspective for him. And that was on the sidelines last week. Here's Roethlisberger with the completion. Brown with his first catch of the day, and it sets up a 1st and goal. He was wide open. McKelvin was able to get to him to prevent the touchdown. It's a 24-yard pass play.
This is real separation. You watch when Ben throws it, the corner's not even in the picture. He's so far off, Leotis McKelvin. And it was interesting, Antonio Brown was benched in the second half last week because the head coach didn't feel he was providing quality execution of his assignments. It wasn't just a one-time thing. Clearly, you look at Antonio Brown, needs to clean up some of the detail in his work. But as you mentioned, Marv, this guy's leading the NFL right now with 61 catches. He's got big play potential. They have to all find a way to get on the same page.
2-minute warning. When we come back, 1st and goal at the 5. Back in Pittsburgh with 2 minutes remaining in this first half. Game tied at 3. Pittsburgh 1st and goal at the 5. Bell in the backfield. Here's the play fake. Roethlisberger throws, and it is caught. Touchdown, Jericho Cotchery. He had a career-high 3 in the game last week. That's his 6th of the season. On a fade, he was able to beat the right corner, Stephon Gilmore.
I think the play action certainly helps. You watch Ben Roethlisberger, he's going to fake the ball to Le'Veon Bell. You wonder if Stephon Gilmore had his eyes in the backfield. He never feels Jericho Cotchery slip him at the line. But a really nice touch throw here by Big Ben in the back corner of the end zone.
13th touchdown pass of the season for Roethlisberger. And now Sweezum will come on for the extra point. Steelers with a 10-3 lead. They go 9 plays, 86 yards in just under 5 minutes. The one-time New York Jet, originally a 4th-round draft pick, Jericho Cotchery, 10-year man out of North Carolina State, has given the Steelers the lead. Well, coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. It is coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report.
Well, Buffalo's got to get something going here, Marv. This would be a good time to start with 1:55 to go and 3 timeouts. Just 63 yards of offense so far, and 31 of them came on 2 plays, a 23-yard pass to Johnson and an 8-yard run by that man right there, E.J. Manuel. Pittsburgh has done a really good job stopping the run. They've not allowed Fred Jackson or C.J. Spiller to get started. C.J. Spiller just 4 carries for 4 yards.
Sean Sweezum getting set to kick it away as Marquise Goodwin would love an opportunity to run one back.
Well, he's got the benefit of the wind in his back. We've seen a bunch of kickoffs from this point just sail out of the back of the end zone.
Not this time. They'll bring it out to the 20. Well, get inside the mind of a quarterback. Some call this the Rich Gannon show. I know Phil, Steve, and Adam might disagree. You can join Phil Simms, our very own Rich Gannon, Steve Berline, Adam Shine, NFL Monday QB. That's tomorrow, 6:30 Eastern on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Looks like a flag was just tossed.
They'll be penalized 5 yards, and we'll re-kick.
It's an offside on the kickoff, and it's a late flag, so they will re-kick.
Correction. The penalty will be enforced from the touchback spot, which puts the ball at the 25-yard line.
As I said, it'll be reinforced.
As you said.
Yes.
Scott Green should listen.
Exactly, please. So they start out at the 25-yard line. Pittsburgh has had the football for nearly 19 and a half minutes. Those 2 long drives, that last one resulting in the touchdown pass from Roethlisberger to Cotchery. Fred Jackson stopped by Lamar Woodley. That's a pickup of 8.
As they jump right in their 2-minute offense here. And
second down and 2 for Buffalo. Manuel goes sideline, has the first down as T.J. Graham makes the catch, picks up 5.
Well, you watch the quarterback, he's going to work from right to left, and it's a nice job using the boundary and bringing T.J. Graham down the line, throwing him away from the flat defender.
Manuel from the shotgun, try to go underneath, but underthrows Jackson.
Well, you see a little bit of the rust there from E.J. Manuel. You know, it's hard. We're talking about a quarterback that missed 2.5 weeks during training camp. He's been out a month. And, you mentioned Marv, he's been sitting up in that press box watching. He self-scouted, went back and watched all the cut-ups from the first 5 games. But there's nothing like getting reps. And these young quarterbacks, they need reps in the system.
EJ did say excellent snacks, though, up in the press box. Swings it out. Catch by Jackson, who's hit immediately by Cortez Allen.
Yeah, it's good to see Pittsburgh. This is a defense that historically has been a very good tackling defense. You look at the struggles that they have had. We talked about the problems of the explosive plays, and in talking to Dick LeBeau, they know they've got to tackle better as a group.
It's a 3rd down and 6, under a minute to go, first half. And short range, Jackson, a submarine. He's taking a pounding. William Gay in the left corner. puts the body on Jackson. Now timeout is being called by the Steelers.
You've got to be able to see out in front of throws. There's somebody out there in zone coverage waiting with his eyes on the quarterback, and you've got to be able to protect Fred Jackson. You've got to stop him in the hole. You can't let this guy get sawed in half like that by William Gay.
So when we resume, it's a 4th down and 4. Pittsburgh looking to get the ball back. Feel they could perhaps move down the field in a hurry and maybe tag out a field goal. Antonio Brown is back deep. 4th punt coming up for Brian Moorman.
You get a big return here, Marv. You get one out to midfield. You've got a chance here with a timeout left. 40-some seconds.
And this a booming punt ends up in the end zone, so they bring it out to the 20, a 56-yarder. Moorman helping the average.
Well, with 41 seconds and 1 timeout, a couple ways you can go with this. You can run the ball and go to halftime up 10-3, or you can take a shot or even a screen pass, Marv. If you bust a screen pass out to the 40-yard line or something, then you got a chance to take a couple shots and get in field goal range. My sense, knowing Todd Haley, they're not going to be conservative here and just sit on it.
Todd Haley in his 17th season in the NFL, one-time head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. He has Felix Jones in the backfield, Roethlisberger out of the gun.
Screen, yep.
Yeah, that is the screen to the tight end, Heath Miller. Heath Miller, at one time, one of the favorite targets of Ben Roethlisberger, but he's been playing hurt.
Yeah, coming back from that knee injury, and I think he's still working his way back into this offense. He brings a certain mindset. He brings a toughness to the group, not just in terms of the passing game, but the running game as well.
2nd down and 4 at the 26. Now Roethlisberger goes sideline and has a 1st down, connecting with Antonio Brown. So that's his 2nd catch, making for 63 on the season. Gilmore on the tackle, but we're final seconds. Just 9 seconds to go in this first half.
Look how deep the Bills secondary is. I'm trying to keep everything in front of them.
Roethlisberger again sideline. Well, if we can get one more play in, he connects with Brown.
Well,
that's good for
hard.
12.
Yeah, it's going to be hard now. You've got 3 seconds. I mean, you got to throw. You got to try and throw one towards the end zone, and there's no way to stop the clock in this situation, even with the timeout. You've got to hope that Ben can scramble around a little bit, get outside, and heave one downfield to one of these taller receivers.
3 seconds remaining from the Pittsburgh 44-yard line. Roethlisberger running around, heading wisely just decides to throw it away.
That was the idea. Yeah. He just couldn't set his feet.
So that's the end of the first half. Pittsburgh taking a 10-3 lead over Buffalo. They had the football for a good portion of that 2nd quarter. We'll take a break. Back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. We're halftime in Pittsburgh, and the Steelers have taken a 10-3 lead on the Bills. Right here, we'll take a look at the first half performance presented by Intel. And it was Ben Roethlisberger with this 5-yard touchdown pass to Jericho Cotchery that gave the Steelers the lead in the final minutes of that first half. Marv Albert with Rich Gannon, and Dick LeBeau, the defensive coordinator for the Steelers, has to feel a little bit better. They're not playing the New England Patriots this week, but doing a very nice job in that first half against the Buffalo.
They really did, and this is a unit with a lot of pride, and I think they were disappointed with what happened last week, giving up 55 points on the road. They've come out, they've played really well, particularly on 1st down.
Buffalo just 82 yards of offense in the first half.
4 consecutive punts for the Bills to end that first half. Not able to get anything going as you take a look at the first half stats.
Yeah, just dominant in terms of time of possession. And Ben Roethlisberger and that offense have been able to stay out there. 213 yards of offense, been converting some third downs. Finished the drive in the red zone. And now the challenge for E.J. Manuel and this Buffalo offense is they got to create some explosive plays. They got to be able to throw the ball down the field a little bit against this Pittsburgh secondary.
Steelers had the ball for 20 minutes in that first half. See the numbers. E.J. Manuel not able to get much going, making his return after that 4-game absence with the sprained knee. Looking a bit tentative. He's playing with a knee brace. Buffalo will receive to start the second half. Bills a little late coming out of the locker room.
Well, you look at Buffalo's first half possessions, Marvin. It's not a pretty picture. You talk about 3 and outs and how demoralizing they can be to an offense, but they haven't been able to sustain any drives, and they got to be able to get more production on first down. You look at C.J. Spiller. We were just talking at halftime. I mean, just 4 touches, 4 carries for 4 yards. He needs to be more involved in the second half.
This is Sean Sweezen kicking it away to Marquise Goodwin. And he looks to run it out. He wants the speed on, put the speed on, but he slipped, lost his balance. Trying to make a decision as to run or not run. Robert Golden made the stop.
That was a poor decision by Goodwin, an indecision. I mean, you've got to hit it running. And if you hesitate just a split second, that allows that Pittsburgh cover unit to get down there and make a stop inside the 15.
And a flag has been thrown.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, kicking team, number 95, 15-yard penalty, first down.
It's called on Jarvis Jones.
Well, he's right in the middle of your screen here. You're just going to see him. He gets knocked down. I don't know if he gets up or he hits somebody, does something at the bottom of that pile. Well, he's getting helped up, and then as he's getting helped up, he decides to stick a hand in there. Yeah, you can't do that.
Jarvis Jones, first-round draft pick, rookie from Georgia. Manuel has time, and it is incomplete. Pass intended for the tight end Lee Smith.
And you look at Mike Tomlin over there. I mean, he's saying use your head. I mean, you got to be smart in that situation. And Jarvis Jones, a rookie, the guy they think's got a bright future as a linebacker in his 3-4 defense, but he's got to make his mark right now on special teams.
This is C.J. Spiller, who has not been able to get going. He's playing with battling a sprained ankle. He did run for 116 yards, including a 61-yard run, his best performance of the season last week against Kansas City, but thus far today, 5 carries, 8 yards.
And we're seeing too much of this. I mean, he's on the field, he's off the field. Fred Jackson's in. It's hard to get in a rhythm when you're constantly being shuffled in and out of the lineup.
3rd and 6 for Manuel. Under pressure. Let's see if that is a completion as Goodwin made the catch. It is right at the marker for a first down, picked up 7.
Well, Will Allen's going to come screaming in, and E.J. Manuel does a nice job sliding and keeping this play alive.
Hold on. Turns out the Marquise Goodwin decision to run it out wasn't a bad one because of the penalty that was picked up. Fred Jackson able to break a tackle, gets to the first down marker. Vince Williams, inside linebacker, makes the stop. Looks to be just shy.
Well, I think Fred Jackson is the attitude guy. I mean, he really sets the tone for how they play physically. He's really the heart and soul of this unit. He's so good, and he does so many things in different situations. Short yardage, goal line, third down, red zone. He can do it all.
Once again, it's Jackson looking for the first down stop by Kiesel and Williams, and he picks it up.
Kiesel with the hit.
Good look at Fred Jackson, and then he just runs right into a wall.
Fred Jackson out of Coe College in his 7th NFL season, back from an injury-hit year. And the rotation continues. Spiller is back in there. Floater nearly intercepted. A poorly thrown pass by Emmanuel Ike Taylor. The veteran had a shot at it. It was intended for Stevie Johnson. It is incomplete.
That's a dangerous throw by E.J. Manuel. The safety is going to help over the top. So as a result, watch Ike Taylor jump inside, and he's in a trail technique. He almost picks this off. And if you're E.J. Manuel, that's just inexperience. You've got to be able to see that corner sitting on that route.
Go to the no huddle, take advantage with Spiller running hard to his left. Ryan Clark, the free safety on the stop. Spiller goes for 7.
Well, this is where he scares you. When he bounces, runs outside, that's what you got to do. We talked to the Pittsburgh defensive players this week, and they said it's all about containing and restricting the space between C.J. Spiller and the defender.
And the every other play rotation continues. We talked at the start about the fact they are 2 of the best running back tandems in the NFL, the combination of Spiller and Jackson. But in the past, it might be a series of downs, and then they'd make a change. Manuel is hit down. He is sacked by Lawrence Timmons, the right inside linebacker.
Well, he has taken a couple big hits so far this season. He's got to learn to better protect himself when he pulls it down. I don't think he ever feels Lawrence Timmons as he turns back and starts. Oh, there it is. Man, you have to have your head on a swivel if you're going to play quarterback in this league.
First sack of the day for the Steelers. Antonio Brown is back, awaiting the Brian Mormon punt. So they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. It's recorded as a 48-yard punt. It'll be Pittsburgh ball from their 20. Rich, earlier today we mentioned the report regarding Ben Roethlisberger that according to Steelers sources that Ben was asking Pittsburgh to explore trade options after this season. I know it's been reported throughout the media today as Roethlisberger and the Steelers start out from the 20-yard line. And the handoff goes to Bell. He is bottled up. And Kyle Williams makes the stop. And the Steelers at halftime released this statement from the president of the team, Art Rooney II. It says, contrary to erroneous reports, the Pittsburgh Steelers have not explored trading Ben Roethlisberger, have no plans to do so. But as you know, as a key member of the media, as a guy who tweets, all you have to do is put out a tweet.
Oh, it catches fire.
And it's everywhere. And then we react to it. And then teams react to it,
and
whether it's true or not.
Right, and I'm not surprised to see their immediate response. I mean, Mark, we're talking about a guy that's 31 years old, who's in his 10th season, who's been one of the more productive players in the NFL, and one of the more productive players in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers when you look at his track record. I mean, I just don't think there's any truth to that rumor. I don't know where it started. You know, a lot of these, when you see these things, you think maybe it's an agent, or the agent has come out and said that he had nothing to do with it. So I don't know. All I know is that I'd be shocked if Ben Roethlisberger is not in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform next season.
So Ramon Foster, the left guard, helped off, replaced by Guy Wimper.
Hey, go down, line.
Foster, 5-year man from Tennessee. We'll have a later report on him. But Guy Wimper now is the left guard. 2nd down and 11 as Roethlisberger completes to Bell. It's an 8-yard gain. Aaron Williams, the strong safety, coming up to make the stop.
Well, Aaron Williams back in. It's good to see him and battling an ankle injury earlier in the game. He gives him versatility in the secondary because he's such a great cover safety, converted corner, and he can really match up with anybody. Running back, receiver, tight end. He's also very good in run support.
Roethlisberger looking at a 3rd down and 3. Bell is to his right.
Set vertical. Set vertical.
And he fired. It is completed. Nice Nice pass, nice catch. Antonio Brown has the first down and more. Leotis McKelvin on the coverage.
Almost a third of Antonio Brown's catches have come on third down, and this is a matchup that they like. Antonio Brown going after Leotis McKelvin. I mean, that's a very difficult one to defend if you're Leotis McKelvin. I mean, you're playing man-to-man coverage. You've got great coverage, but you never find the ball. Perfect throw and catch by the Steelers.
20-yard play, fourth catch for Brown for 62 yards, and a first down for Pittsburgh. Bell works his way to midfield. Aaron Williams on the stop. Le'Veon Bell, the second-round pick, a rookie from Michigan State. In college, received a lot of attention for his hurdling over opponents. We have not seen as much of that in the NFL.
Well, I think once you get hit and you get upended and you get up in the air, I mean, that's how you get hurt. I think these guys figure that out pretty quickly.
He does have a knack for falling forward, picking up additional yards. Always a good thing for running back.
He's an old school back, Marv. I think he's one of these guys that can get stronger as the game goes along with each touch.
Play action, Roethlisberger in trouble, is able to get it away. Avoiding the sack. He is so difficult to bring down. We were talking yesterday about that with Kyle Williams, who said the worst thing you can do is be the first guy to get to him because he's so shifty.
Yeah, I think defenders bounce off of him. He's got the ability to make guys miss and keep his eyes down the field. And this is really where he's so dangerous, when he extends plays. And talk about that street ball mentality. Clearly not by design, but his ability to create on the fly and make big plays in the passing game.
You'll see guys flying by. 4 wideouts on the field now for the Steelers. Third down and 7. Pittsburgh with a 10-3 lead on Buffalo. Coming up on 8.5 remaining in the third quarter. Roethlisberger has the ball knocked out of his hands, and it's recovered by the Steelers. It was knocked out by Marcel Darius. Would have been a fumble. He has lost 5 fumbles this season.
Yeah, and what the Bills have talked about is sometimes you shouldn't go for the quarterback, just go for the ball with a quarterback like Roethlisberger. Because if you go up top, you're not going to get him, but at times he has been careless with the ball in the pocket. He's already fumbled 7 times this season.
And that was number 7 with, as I mentioned, the 5 lost. McKelvin on the return. You see the flag come flying as McKelvin moves across the 20-yard line. A 46-yard punt and a 7-yard return. Curtis Brown on the tackle. And Scott Green, the referee, will check it out.
Illegal block in the back, receiving team during the return. 10-yard penalty, first down, timeout.
Well, we know this about Ben Roethlisberger. He will hold the ball in the pocket if he feels he can make a throw down the field. He needs to do a better job protecting the football.
Oh, this is one of my favorites. The Rich Gannon history lesson. The only time Buffalo has won in Pittsburgh, 1994. Terry Bradshaw with the fumble picked up by Mike Kadish. Bob Chandler catching the touchdown pass from Joe Ferguson as Buffalo defeats Pittsburgh 30-21. Their only win here in Pittsburgh. That was not Heinz Field, I should point out.
I'm aware of that. You know, we had our researchers go back and do some research on you. Jones Junior High, you were not very good in history class. Struggled. In fact, I heard you were held back in second grade.
So what you're saying is the pass is completed to Stevie Johnson, and he is tripped up. Back in Pittsburgh in honor of Veterans Day, for every point scored during the NFL's 32 Salute to Service games, the league is donating $100 to each of its non-profit partners, the Pat Tillman Foundation, USO, and Wounded Warrior Project. Now, to join the salute and learn more, visit NFL.com/salute. And one of the best-known service veterans to play in the NFL was a Pittsburgh Steeler. Many of you are well aware of Rocky Bleier, drafted into the U.S. Army, volunteered for duty in Vietnam. Fred Jackson gets the call. And Rocky awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star, and then returned to football and was a member of 4 Super Bowl championship teams with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, it's so great to see so many servicemen and women here in uniform today, and the veterans that were honored both before the game and at halftime. And good to see Ike Taylor back on the field as well.
Oh, hey, hold 94.
Second down and 9. Manuel throws the middle. Completed to the tight end Scott Chandler, but shy of a first down. Gain of 7.
Well, Scott Chandler is a handful for any linebacker or safety. There are not a lot of 6'7" tight ends that can run and catch as well as Scott Chandler. Certainly got one in New England, but he's a big target in the middle of the field for E.J. Manuel.
Only his first catch of the day, number 33 on the season, has a 3rd down and 1. Manuel's pass, a diving catch made. Steelers say no, and the official rules did not have possession. Marquise Goodwin bobbled and not able to hang on.
Well, he's just going to run a little out route, and this one is going to be a really difficult catch. You see it bobble it, and then it actually hits the ground there, and he's not able to squeeze it and pull it in.
So the very busy Brian Moorman is back to punt from his 21. Antonio Brown is back deep. 6th punt of the day for Moorman. This is a line drive that is taken by Brown. Has an opening with a burst. Oh, he is taken down. Chris Hogan saving what might have been a run for the distance.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Killzone Shadowfall. What will you sacrifice for peace?
It's a matchup of 2 teams trying to put an end to 2-game losing streaks. 2 teams that have struggled. Steelers have a 10-3 lead as they take over 1st and 10. Roethlisberger with a long look. He throws downfield. It's caught. With a spin move by Brown. He's to the 20. Antonio Brown, after a slow start, has come on. That's his 5th catch of the day. That's good for 39 yards.
Yeah, and you've given this much time. I mean, this is going to be tough for a guy like Stephon Gilmore to hold on. Antonio Brown just has too much quickness, and they get hurt. They commit 8 to the line of scrimmage trying to stop the run on 1st and 10, and Pittsburgh comes right at them with a play action shot down the field.
First down at the Buffalo 18. Brown now 5 catches, 102 yards. Le'Veon Bell in the backfield. Miller in motion. And this is Bell finding a hole. And then stacked up. Nigel Bradham will get credit for the tackle. It's a 5-yard gain. It's an all-new night of comedy on CBS, beginning with How I Met Your Mother and 2 Broke Girls, followed by a new Mike and Molly and Mom. It all starts tomorrow at 8, 7 Central. Only CBS.
Well, one thing Pittsburgh has done a nice job of in this game is their use of personnel. I mean, you just see every play players coming on and off the field. They get in their heavy sets. They get in 3 wides, 4 wides. I mean, they have done it all today against this Buffalo defense.
2nd down and 5. And again, it's Bell. Stopped by Bryant. Short of the first down.
And we've seen a number of different backs as well for Pittsburgh. Le'Veon Bell, and we've seen Dwyer and Jones. They run the ball with Emmanuel Sanders. A good job mixing it up. This is an offense that has struggled to run the football this year. 28th coming into today's game, just 73 yards a game on the ground. They're already over 100 against the Bills.
And doing it against a Bills team that has played well defensively despite the record. It's a 3rd down and 3. Out of the shotgun, Roethlisberger throwing. End zone. It is incomplete, intended for Brown. Brown facing Gilmore. Gilmore has a couple of inches on him. Antonio Brown leaping, trying to make that catch.
Well, the thing that Stephon Gilmore does well here is see him spin his head around and locate that ball. It's a nice job making the play. And of course, Mike Tomlin's looking for some pass interference. I thought it was a good no call in that situation.
29-yard attempt for Sean Sweezum. Earlier hit from 36, 17 of 19 for the season.
False start. That may be a first down. I wonder if that was by design.
Encroachment. Defense. Number 99. 5-yard penalty. First down.
It is called on Marcell Dareus.
I'm wondering if somebody made a call. Because it wasn't just Marcell Dareus. A number of players along that defensive line actually moved. It was really good strategy there by Pittsburgh. I mean, to delay a game in that situation, anything doesn't hurt you if you're the Steelers. It was clearly a chip shot. I think by design, they were trying to draw off the Buffalo defensive line.
So instead of the field goal attempt, it's a first and goal for the Steelers at the Buffalo 6. Running back is Bell. Roethlisberger with a swing pass. It is caught by Brown, and he stopped just inside the 5 by McKelvin. That's a 3-yard advance. It'll be a second and goal.
Well, Antonio Brown has really responded well this week after getting sat down late in that game against New England last week. I think the message was heard loud and clear from Mike Tomlin that he's got to do a better job in his preparation during the week and detailing his assignments on game day.
Mike Adams lines up as a tight end. Bell in the backfield. Handoff Bell. He's in for the touchdown. Led by Adams.
You know, Mike Adams was sat down. He was a starter at the beginning of the season. He didn't play well. And Mike Tomlin told us on Friday, he said, we're going to continue to use this guy and try and get him back on the field, get him feeling good about himself again. And he has really played well in this game. Look at him just push the linebacker right into the end zone. It's an excellent block there by Mike Adams.
He goes 6'7", about 320 pounds. Second-round draft pick last season out of Ohio State. A starter last year as a rookie for about 5 or 6 games. So Sweezum adds the extra point. 6 plays, 58 yards, and 3 minutes. Key catch by Antonio Brown. Bell takes it in. Pittsburgh up 17-3. So the Steelers with 17 consecutive points. And Le'Veon Bell able to bring it home for his 4th touchdown of the season. He was set back at the start of the year by a sprained foot. Missed the first 3 games. Goodwin backpedals, and he will not attempt to run it out. Reminder, Saturday, it's the Home Depot SEC on CBS. Aaron Murray and the Bulldogs facing Trey Mason and the Tigers. It all begins with college football today.
About Aaron Murray threw 2 touchdown passes and set the SEC record yesterday in their win over Appalachian State. And Nick Marshall from Auburn, 214 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in their win over Tennessee. This is going to be a good one next week.
Buffalo starting out with 3 tight ends, 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. Spiller, who has not been able to get going, now makes the turn. They have cut him off as he tries to make the turn, and William Gay ran him out.
Well, they've done a nice job of discouraging C.J. Spiller. They've made him bounce runs, and run defense is an 11-man job. We've seen a much better approach today from this Pittsburgh defense. They've gotten around E.J. Manuel, and they have gotten him on the ground. This has been an inspired effort by a defense that was embarrassed a week ago.
Play action. Manuel's pass thrown in a crowd. There were 3 Steelers surrounding the tight end Gregg. And Polamalu had a shot at it.
Well, you always have to be aware of where number 43 is. And he can make a lot of plays. And you think you've got an open tight end and Gregg, and all of a sudden out of the corner of your eye, you feel 43 jump in there and make a play. He can do so much in this defense. He can play at all 3 levels. Down around the line of scrimmage, he's a terrific blitzer. At that second level, of course, he still has great range in the middle of the field.
A future Hall of Famer, 7-time Pro Bowl safety, Troy Polamalu. And now Manuel going deeper downfield, intended for Johnson. Covered well by Cortez Allen, although Johnson felt that he was held. And the punting unit will come on. 7th consecutive punt for Buffalo. They have not been able to get anything going offensively.
No, they've not done a good job. Again, they can't run the football, and they've got a young quarterback that's been out of the game for a month, and he looks really rusty against this Pittsburgh defense. It's 10 of 22 for 79 yards for E.J. Manuel.
So here's Brian Mormon. Antonio Brown calling for the fair catch at the 36-yard line. It's a 36-yard punt. This week, don't miss the show that's in a league by itself with guys who take on all 32 teams and each other every week. James Brown, Phil Simms, Chris Collinsworth, along with the artistry of NFL Films. Inside the NFL, the show the pros watch Wednesday at 9 only on Showtime. And there is a flag thrown.
There was holding on Pittsburgh.
That's what Stevie Johnson was looking for.
That was on the return.
Right.
Holding. The previous penalty was holding number 46 during the kick. 10-yard penalty.
It's on Will Johnson, the fullback.
Scott Green didn't realize that you were reading a promo, Marv.
The nerve.
That's one of my Delaware guys. You know that. Scott, an alum of the University of Delaware, a fighting blue hen, like myself.
It's not just blue hen, it's a fighting blue hen.
Fighting blue hen, yes. E.J. Manuel, he's busy studying. Boy, they've got to find a way to get something going offensively. They're starting to run out of time.
Running back is Le'Veon Bell. So the Steelers start out from their 25, and another flag is down. Just a yard for Bell. You and Scott Green go to the secret handshake.
Illegal formation. Offense. Tight end was covered by number 84. 5-yard penalty. First down.
When we go back and take a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, their last drive, and of course they got it started with the big play action pass on first down to Antonio Brown. He's tough to tackle. Of course, the big penalty there, Marcel Dares, he jumps off sides as they're attempting to line up for the field goal. And of course, a terrific block by Mike Adams, and Le'Veon Bell does the rest.
This penalty declined. 2nd down and 9. 17 unanswered points by the Steelers. Now Bell flanks wide left. Empty backfield for Roethlisberger. And a hard throw to handle. Incomplete. Intended for the tight end Heath Miller.
Well, a little screen pass, and they're the easiest ones to complete. I was good at that, Mark. I could throw a screen pass. I mean, I had a good completion percentage on. I could go back and look at my numbers on screen passes.
I plan to look at the.
They're easy.
I won't say tape. I'll say film.
They're usually the ones that are pretty easy for a quarterback. You got to draw the rush, keep your eyes downfield, and just flip it out there. Unfortunately, he just hasn't been able to find his tight end Heath Miller very much today.
That one, you'd agree, was thrown too strong.
Yeah, it was hard. It was not an easy catch. Got to put it on him.
Look out, Roethlisberger in trouble, just clutching the football. It's knocked out, but the play is blown dead. He knew he was headed down.
Yeah, I don't like this decision by Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, you know, you're up 17-3. You're in your own end, and watch at the end here. I mean, clearly they bring a blitz. They're one short. They have no one to block Jairus Byrd. Now take care. Don't do that. You're just asking for trouble. And those are the things that Ben Roethlisberger has to get cleaned up.
Jerry Hughes gets credit for the sack, number 5 on the season. For Buffalo, it is their 3rd of the day. McKelvin and Leonard are back for the punt from McBriar. McKelvin trying to break wide, and that is taken down at midfield. 42-yard punt, not a 7-yard return. So the Bills get it back with 1:05 left in this third quarter. AFC East, New England on top at 7-2. Jets at 5-4. And then Miami and Buffalo. I know the Bills felt if they could win here this afternoon, they're very much back into it.
Yeah, I just don't see the sense of urgency from this offense. I mean, this could be the nail in the coffin for them in their season if they can't find a way to do something here as we get ready to head into the fourth quarter.
So it's Spiller as the Bills continue to rotate their running backs. Spiller picked up 2, stopped by Ziggy Hood. Last year, a breakout season for C.J. Spiller. Ran for 1,200 yards. Averaged about 6 yards, which is unheard of.
You know, he's got a unique skill set. I mean, he's capable of scoring anytime he touches the ball, but he just hasn't been able to get started today against this Pittsburgh defense.
Play action. Manuel with space runs it for the first down.
Manuel on the keeper.
Well, it's good to see if you're Buffalo coaching staff. This guy's got to do a better job protecting himself. It's not there, and so he pulls it down and runs, and now he's heading for the boundary. Talk about sliding, getting out of bounds, not taking those unnecessary hits.
Jackson, as this first quarter comes to a close, he picks up 4 on the play, so that will do it for the third. The Steelers, with 17 straight points, have a 17-3 lead over the Bills. We'll return to Pittsburgh after this message and a word from your local station. Fourth quarter, Marv Albert, Rich Gannon from Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. There's Jarvis Jones, the first-round pick rookie from Georgia, who has been filling in here for Lamar Woodley, who suffered a calf injury earlier. And it's questionable as to whether he will return. 2nd down and 6. Jackson. And he has nowhere to go. Vince Williams, the inside linebacker, rookie from Florida State, makes the tackle, a 1-yard gain. That's it.
Well, Pittsburgh's doing a nice job forcing runs back up inside. And then we've seen a bunch of this today. Vince Williams there. Buffalo's not been able to get on the edge of this front 7.
3rd and 5. T.J. Graham is flanked wide to the left side of the top of your screen.
That's a critical 3rd down for Buffalo.
Running back, Jackson. Manuel throwing sideline. It's gathered in, but he's out of bounds. Stevie Johnson made the catch, but had no angle on Gay. So it is incomplete.
Well, this just seemed like it took a while. He's well out of the break, and now the ball just gets there. You've got to give the receiver a little bit of space on the boundary. And again, Buffalo continues to struggle on 3rd down, just 2 of 11 so far today.
Brian Mormon, 12-year man from Pittsburgh State, has been very busy. His 8th punt. Fair catch handled by Antonio Brown. So the Steelers will take over. A minute gone by in the 4th. Steelers start out from their 11-yard line. They have a 17-3 lead here on the Bills. Steelers have won 7 of 8 against Buffalo here in Pittsburgh in the regular season. The one Buffalo win here was 1975, not here at Heinz Field, obviously. Felix Jones, the ball carrier. Alan Branch making the tackle. Coming up next, Peyton Manning and the Broncos taking on Phillip Rivers, and the Chargers or the Texans face the Cardinals. Check your local listings. All coming up.
Both teams have to do it without their head coaches. Certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to John Fox, who's recovering, and as is Gary Kubiak down there in Houston.
Second down and 8. Felix Jones is the deep back. Fake of the end around as Jones goes straight ahead, and he's met by Kiko Alonso. Kiko Alonso, the rookie out of Oregon, a second-round pick. The Bills' leading tackler. In fact, he's third in that department in the NFL.
Yeah, he's been terrific. He's been a great find for them. Their second-round pick, as you mentioned, Marvin. Does a lot of things well, and he stays on the field. I mean, he is a three-down player. He doesn't come off in their sub or passing situations. He makes all the calls in the middle of that defense. They ask him to do a lot. He does it well.
You saw the update. He's now tied for the most tackles in the NFL. Our guys are right on it. Sanders with the reception. Gilmore makes the tackle. It's a first down for Pittsburgh on a 9-yard pass play.
Stephon Gilmore has had a difficult day against these smaller, quicker receivers of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You see him trailing Emmanuel Sanders. He has struggled with the matchup with Antonio Brown as well.
Gilmore making it back from that broken wrist. Sat out first 5 games. First-round draft pick last year out of South Carolina.
See how much space he's given between himself and the receiver.
This is Dwyer with a big hole. Dwyer across the 40-yard line. Aaron Williams, the strong safety, makes the tackle. It's a 17-yard run for Jonathan Dwyer, who has been a key man in that backfield.
Well, they're just winning the battle up front right now. I mean, you've got safeties having to make tackles on running backs 15, 20 yards down the field. Whoa. Aaron Williams just holding on there for dear life. Pittsburgh has really done a nice job. Look at that. Almost twice as many rushing yards today as they've averaged coming into today's game. And a lot of those runs have been right up the middle.
First down play again. Dwyer up the middle. This time he is collared by Kyle Williams.
Well, this offensive line, Mark, we talked about what they've done in the running game. I thought even the pass protection has been better. You know, Ben Roethlisberger was sacked 5 times last week, 31 times coming into today's game. And Buffalo has gotten him on the ground just once today. This is a Buffalo defense that had 29 sacks coming into today's game. So they've done a really nice job. This Pittsburgh offensive line fending off some of the pressure and opening up some big holes in the running game.
Kelvin Beachum, Marcus Gilbert, Guy Wimper at the tackles, Ramon Foster, David DeCastro at the guards, Fernando Velasco is the center. It's a revamped line. Antonio Brown, the intended receiver. Velasco at center, replacing the injured Marquise Pouncey, a 3-time Pro Bowl center. David DeCastro sat out last week with an injured ankle. First-round pick last year out of Stanford, missed most of last season, his rookie year due to a knee injury. Marcus Gilbert was hurt earlier today. We saw a little bit of Guy Wimper. Wimper also coming on for Foster, who was shaken up. Third down, 11.
Well, if you're Ben Roethlisberger, you got to be smart in this situation. Buffalo has not been able to do anything on offense. Their defense has been playing well. Just can't afford a turnover in this situation.
Look out, down he goes. Another sack for Jerry Hughes, who had one just moments ago. Second of the game, number 6 for the season.
Well, Jerry Hughes is, and now we're getting some chirping. Nobody likes to give up a sack. You see David DeCastro over there. He's going to come off the edge. He just beats him around the corner. And Kelvin Beachum can't do enough to slow him down.
So Roethlisberger's been taken out 4 times. He's been sacked 35 times on the season. And the punting unit is in. It is muffed by McKelvin. 45-yard punt, but it will be Buffalo ball. When we come back, you're watching the NFL on CBS. The terrible towels back in action here in Pittsburgh. As the Steelers have played well, they have a 17-3 lead. We're early 4th quarter. Buffalo taking over. Manuel in trouble, gets it off. It is picked off. Ryan Clark on the interception. Has an escort. E.J. Manuel making the tackle on the free safety. Ryan Clark, who went 37 yards with his 2nd interception of the season.
Well, E.J. Manuel never feels Ryan Clark. I mean, he just throws this one late down the middle. This is not in rhythm. You're going to see him step up and slide, and he just heaves it up there. Look at Ryan Clark. He's got a beat on him the whole way. It was tight coverage on the outside by Ike Hilliard, but this is a throw you can't make coming out of your own end zone.
Pass intended for Marquise Goodwin. And the Steelers now have a 1st and 10 at the Buffalo 13.
Well, that was the dagger right there. I mean, it's been a long day for E.J. Manuel. He's never looked comfortable. They have not had a lot of success running the football, and it's shifted the onus onto him in the passing game.
The rookie Le'Veon Bell in the backfield takes the handoff, and he's taken down. Marcel Darius. And that's a 4-yard loss.
Well, we talked about how tough Dick LeBeau can be on rookie quarterbacks. I mean, he's the best in the business. He's the best at breaking down your protections. He doesn't make it easy for them. Look at that, it's just 16-2. Not a lot of success. And again, he's the master at getting after quarterbacks, getting them off the spot. And I always say with a young quarterback, you want him to get off to a good start. That didn't happen today against the Steelers.
Dick LeBeau saying earlier in the week, we have to get back to our fundamentals. They certainly have here this afternoon. Here's Bell dancing, looking for an opening. Kyle Williams
with the tackle
hits him for a yard loss.
I think the big story has been how this Pittsburgh defense has responded. They don't tolerate complacency, and they'll never accept being an average defense here in Pittsburgh. I mean, as they know, average is just a little bit better than poor. This is a defense that's got a lot of pride, and quite frankly was embarrassed by what happened last week in New England.
Well, they come in 31st against the run, facing a team with the 7th-ranked running game, and they have been stifled. Empty backfield. Roethlisberger throwing end zone. Intended for Emmanuel Sanders.
Roethlisberger's pass intended for Sanders.
Continue to go against Stephon Gilmore.
Not a very good sequence of plays there for Pittsburgh. They get the big turnover, and they're not able to do anything with it. Now they got to settle for a field goal. Both of these teams, Marv, have struggled in the red zone. And a big reason why. Good teams, good red zone teams, have the ability to run the football. And then when they get in close, they have the ability to make some big plays in the back of the end zone with some taller receivers that can go up and get the ball. And neither of these teams have those types of players. The Pittsburgh Steelers have one guy, Derek Moy, who's a big, taller receiver who's, in fact, inactive today.
So Sean Sweezum will attempt from 37 yards out. He hit from 36 earlier today. It is good. 18 of 20 for the season and extends the lead. 20-3, Pittsburgh. Well, Stevie Johnson heading back to the locker room, we're told, suffered a groin injury and he will not return. Coming into the game, the feeling was he would be the feature receiver. Did not start in that matter, and Pittsburgh's done a nice job against them. Just 3 receptions, 48 yards.
That's a mistake. We'll come out to the 40.
Kickoff out of bounds. Ball be placed at the 40-yard line. First down.
It has been a long afternoon for E.J. Manuel and the Buffalo Bills. Look at this.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not good. I don't know what more I can say other than they've got to get that cleaned up. And it was just kind of a rough start for E.J. Manuel. And we ran into a buzzsaw. That gentleman right there has made life miserable for a lot of young quarterbacks. And, you know, this week some of the negative criticism turned towards Dick LeBeau, which I think is laughable. Many of the players took offense to that, and I think really responded.
Pass caught by Spiller, but nothing there. No gain. Polamalu on the stop. The Bills with only 2 plays today that have gone for more than 10 yards. A 23-yard pass to Stevie Johnson. A 20-yard pass to Johnson.
He's backed up. Ram.
Spiller's longest run was for 7 and Jackson for 9. That's been it. Manuel taken down. Second sack of the day for the Steelers. Jarvis Jones with his first NFL sack.
Well, Jarvis Jones taking the place of Lamar Woodley. I mean, he comes in there, he's able to get him on the ground, and this is where you can tee off and have some fun. They've been able to stop the run. They've got a team down 20-3. Now you can pin your ears back and go rush the passer.
Last season at Georgia, Jarvis Jones led the nation in sacks with 14 and a half. First-round draft pick of the Steelers. Look out. Cameron Hayward with his second sack of the season.
Well, isn't it amazing what happens when you stop the run? And now you're able to just rush the passer. You know, you think about the Steelers coming in, Marv, 31st against the run. It has an effect on everything else you're trying to do defensively. They were 29th in sacks, 27th in interception, and 28th in fumble recovers. It makes it harder to go after the quarterback if you can't stop the run.
Antonio Brown will look to run it. Finds the opening. Down to the 30. Down to the 20. And taken down just short of the 10. Tashard Choice making the tackle. A 51-yard return for Antonio Brown.
Well, he's the player of the game without question, Marv. He's had 6 catches for 104 yards. He's had some huge plays in the return game as well. Man, he has great speed when he gets into the open field. He's got great patience and terrific vision. He's always capable of that big cutback. I think Mike Tomlin got his attention last week where late in that game he pulled him out. I don't think Antonio Brown particularly cared for that. He has really responded well.
Pulled out the NFL's leading receiver. Incidentally, a nice block by Will Allen to help Brown on that return. A little hesitation there, then Bell picks up a yard.
Let's see if Pittsburgh can do something with this opportunity. Marv, they've had great field position here with some big plays by their defense, the kicking game. And just saw the last series, they had to settle for a field goal in this part of the field.
Think of what it was like for Mike Tomlin last week after the blasting they took from the New England Patriots, wondering what the heck is going on. Of course, the Patriots are an excellent team, but they gave up 55 points, better than 600 yards on the ground. And think of, at least for a couple of minutes, how much better he'll feel.
Oh, yeah. And he's the master. I mean, he's terrific. He does a great job adjusting the message to the circumstances as they change.
Once again, it is Bell. He goes for 5. So Le'Veon Bell, 22 carries, 57 yards. They've also received good work from Jonathan Dwyer, who has come in as a third back. They've also used Felix Jones. 3rd down and 4.
Pretty good balance for Pittsburgh offensively today. 33 rushes, 33 passes against this Buffalo defense.
Bell is the running back.
Well, you got one-on-one coverage.
Locked down to 1 second. Roethlisberger flips it. Incomplete. Heath Miller, the intended receiver, stripped by the strong safety,
Incomplete.
Aaron Williams.
Well, Aaron Williams provides a lot of versatility. We talked about that, not only as a run support player, but as a former corner that can cover. He's right there to make the play on Heath Miller.
Miller at 6'5", has some 5 inches on Williams. So a 23-yard field goal attempt by Sean Sweezen. He's hit from 36, from 37. And Sean Sweezen adds to the lead. Steelers up 23-3. They've scored 23 unanswered.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway. Go bold with the new Subway Sriracha Chicken Melt today. And by Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Pittsburgh Steelers fans have certainly enjoyed what they have seen here today. Steelers looking for their 3rd win. They've dropped their last 2, coming off the blowout at the hands of the Patriots last week in Foxborough, giving up the 55 points, 610 yards, both franchise records, but a far different story here this afternoon. Certainly a difference in terms of quality of opposition.
Well, it's been a rough day for E.J. Manuel. Getting the layoff, Marv, I think is a big part of it. He just didn't look comfortable in the pocket. He missed some easy throws. The timing and the rhythm, particularly when he was thrown in the direction of Stevie Johnson, just wasn't there. That chemistry that you need every day with a young quarterback. It's very difficult to
Mike 94,
assimilate
hey.
that
Oh,
when
94.
you're not out there. So he needs to get back to the drawing board, get back to work.
C.J. Spiller on the reception, met by Polamalu. Picked up 7. Steelers have had the ball for 35 minutes. Buffalo just 20 minutes. You saw that graphic of the punt festival. Brian Mormon is going to have a tired
He'll
leg.
be in the training room tomorrow, icing that leg.
2nd down and 3. Down to 4 minutes to play. Manuel swings it out. Scott Chandler picks up the 1st down.
Well, Pittsburgh's not allowing them to throw anything deep down the field, playing 2 deep coverage, making them check it underneath to his tight ends and backs. Of course, it'll make it even more difficult, Marv, without Stevie Johnson, who's left with a groin injury.
Manuel flicking it, and it is caught short of a 1st down. T.J. Graham makes the catch, 2nd-year player from North Carolina State. Now they say incomplete, not able to hang on. Looking ahead, Rich, for Buffalo, they have the Jets next week at home, and then a home game against the Falcons, followed by road games at Tampa Bay and at Jacksonville.
Well, they need to find a way to get more consistency in production out of E.J. Manuel.
Manuel with the completion to Chandler. That's good for 7. William Gay on the stop. As for the Steelers next week, home game against Detroit. Then they'll be at Cleveland and at Baltimore.
I'd like to see E.J. Manuel, Marv. If I'm coaching the quarterbacks in Buffalo, under center more. I think you develop bad habits if you're constantly in the gun. And I've seen him miss some throws. I think he's got some issues with his footwork, his accuracy.
Nice catch there by Chris Hogan.
He's missed a lot of receivers, either low or behind. Looks like he may have got a terrific catch. Great concentration, a one-handed grab. But watch how he comes down. See if that head hits the ground right there. Ooh. Yeah, that right side of his helmet is going to slam against the ground. Yeah, the hand and then the helmet slams against the ground.
Chris Hogan, a guy who's made the rounds, spending time with the 49ers, Dolphins, Giants on their practice squads out of Monmouth College in New Jersey, a first-year player.
Oh, there's so many ways to get hurt in this game. You know, you just watch that. It makes a terrific catch, and it's just crazy business sometimes.
Getting back to E.J. Manuel, do you think they're going with the shotgun primarily to protect the knee? Thursday on CBS, Will Arnett, Margot Martindale, and Beau Bridges will star in the #1 new comedy, The Millers. That's Thursday after The Big Bang Theory, only CBS.
I don't think it has anything to do with the knee. I like to see him under center more. I think it helps with the footwork. It helps with the play action game. It's easier to run the football under center. It gives you more options as opposed to in the gun.
And the pass completed this time to Chris Gregg, backup tight end. That's good for 9.
I think they really have to focus. I mean, you look at where they'll be after this game. They'll be 3-7. They really got to focus and really zero in on the continued development at the quarterback position. This is an area they have to get figured out. It's been a problem. It's been a big reason why the Bills have not made the postseason.
Once again, it's Gregg. Picked up 8 on the play. Set for an update. JB, Dan Marino.
Can Jacksonville get win number 1?
Possibly, but Ryan Fitzpatrick's trying to bring back the Tennessee Titans. He goes on a 4-yard run, gets it for a touchdown. 22-20, Jacksonville.
Marv Albert, Rich Gannon.
All right, JB, 2 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. We'll be back to Pittsburgh in a moment. 2 minutes remaining. A 23-3 lead for the Steelers. Manuel on a deep drop and throws. It is caught inside the 10. Marquise Goodwin on the reception, but a flag is down.
That was a really nice throw. Unfortunately, it looks like it may come back. And see, when this kid's in rhythm, he could be a very accurate passer.
If it holds up, it's a 17-yard pass play, but
There are 2 fouls that will offset on the play. Illegal hands to the face, number 79, offense. Holding, defense. Those penalties will offset. First down.
right, so eradicate that pass play. However, it is a first down at the 27-yard line. Once again out of the shotgun. This time Manuel goes to the other side. Marcus Easley with a diving catch. Just a 4-yard hookup.
Well, it's tough to keep a good man down. Look at those numbers last week, Marv. We talked about it, 610 yards today, just 197. And I'm not surprised to see this defense respond. They were really disappointed that some of the attention, unfortunately, turned towards Dick LeBeau, their Hall of Fame coach and coordinator.
Catch made again by the backup tight end, Chris Gregg. It was certainly an impressive effort by the Steelers defensively, but you're talking about New England and you're talking about Buffalo.
Little difference with Tom Brady and that offense, and E.J. Manuel coming off of a long layoff.
There's Jackson. And he's taken out of bounds at about the 6-yard line by Cameron Hayward. Although what Dick LeBeau and his defense did was put a stop to the 2 running backs, Spiller and Jackson.
Yeah, they just let one bust out here, and Hayward's able to come over and make the stop. As you see, they move Fred Jackson down here and go empty, no backs. Pittsburgh having a little bit of a difficult time getting lined up. They have to take a timeout. Look at Mike Tomlin. He's all the way on the field because of all the confusion.
Timeout, Pittsburgh. This is their first charge timeout. It's a 30-second timeout.
So the Steelers want to talk things over, taking a timeout. Coming up, we'll have bonus coverage of the game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens up 17-10 with 8:16 left in the fourth quarter.
And Baltimore's really struggled this year, Marv. Struggled running the football with those two good backs, Ray Rice, and of course protecting Joe Flacco. It's been a problem.
Bills had that early field goal, and since then, from the offensive point of view, zip.
Well, if you're E.J. Manuel here, you got 4 shots at it, and just got to be smart to see the throws. It's not there on first down. No problem here throwing it away. Throw it away.
Manuel in trouble. He just flicks it out. That's a fumble. Picked up by Hayward. Cameron Hayward. Run out of bounds, and a flag is down. And that's a poor decision, obviously, by E.J. Manuel.
We just talked about it prior to the play. I mean, the only thing you can't do there is take a sack or have a turnover. Just throw the ball away on first down. You got 4 shots at it.
Ryan Clark on the blitz put the pressure.
After the run backs, unnecessary roughness, number 90 defense. Penalty will be enforced. First down, Pittsburgh.
So 27-yard return on the fumble recovery by Hayward.
Well, poor decision here by E.J. Manuel. Pittsburgh blitzes. They don't have, Ryan Clark is not blocked. And you have to recognize that. Worlds gets the ball out, and of course Hayward's right there for the easy scoop up. Can't be fooled in this part of the field. You know Dick LeBeau is going to bring pressure.
And apparently they will review that upstairs in the final 2 minutes.
Let's see whether or not this is actually a pass. Whether or not the arm is coming forward as he gets hit by Worlds. See if his arm is.
The play is under review, and you can go under the line.
I don't know that his arm is actually going forward in that look. Gets hit the ball in the throwing position, but I don't know that his arm is actually going forward.
The other aspect is they do look at every turnover.
That was a good hit, though, for what it's worth. Yeah, right there, it looks like his arm's moving a little bit forward, but it's tough to tell as he's getting hit backwards if it's just not the reaction from the blow from Worlds. But it does look like the hand, anyway, is moving forward. They may catch a break here. Again, every timeout for a quarterback like E.J. Manuel, it's a learning experience. You mentioned that the more we looked at it in our replays, Marv, it looks like his hand was coming forward as he gets hit. I think there's a good chance this one's incomplete.
After reviewing the play, the quarterback's arm was going forward with possession of the ball. It is an incomplete pass. In addition, the unnecessary roughness penalty will be enforced. It'll be Buffalo's ball, 1st and 10 on the 1st and goal at the 3-yard line. Please reset the game clock to 55 seconds.
Good call, Rich.
Well, another opportunity for the young quarterback. 55 seconds left. 4 more shots. Again, let me say it one more time. Can't take a sack and you can't turn it over. You got 4 shots at it.
I got it.
Be smart. That information has to get from the sideline into the headset of E.J. Manuel so that he understands as Pittsburgh shows pressure.
Manuel thought he had someone at the far corner.
Well, there's some confusion there between T.J. Graham and Marcus Easley. Somebody was supposed to go to the corner.
And a flag is thrown.
Somebody's supposed to be over in this area.
That was a timing play.
Intentional grounding, quarterback. Also loss of down, 10-yard penalty.
Somebody, I think it's Easley supposed. Both of them are running slants, and I think that when you look at, I think Marcus Easley is supposed to go to the corner.
Once again, it was Will Allen putting the pressure on Manuel.
That's what happens when you have a lot of younger guys on the field. You don't have the veteran Stevie Johnson, and you get a mistake.
Johnson departing.
Unless Buffalo chose to use one of their timeouts, which they have chose to do.
So you have an offensive penalty, would have been a runoff, and instead Buffalo will take a timeout.
As I mentioned, Stevie Johnson out with a pulled groin muscle, went back to the locker room. Look at the upcoming schedule for the Steelers. We touched on this earlier. Home for Detroit next weekend, at Cleveland, at Baltimore. Face Miami, Cincinnati at home, and then at Green Bay.
Well, if they play defense like this, they can beat anybody. I mean, they got a quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger that can get it done. And they're running the football better now with Le'Veon Bell, and of course Antonio Brown has been really outstanding in the passing game.
So from the 13, it's a 2nd and goal. Manuel with the pass. Marcus Easley makes the catch inside the 5. So that's an 8-yard advance. Clock running, 35 seconds to go. 3rd and goal.
Pittsburgh is going to keep bringing pressure. That's all they know.
Manuel guns it short of the goal line. They tied up Marquise Goodwin. He had nowhere to go. Looks like he lost possession.
I think they're going to rule him down. 4th down might be a good opportunity here for Buffalo to take that timeout. See whether or not his knee is down. Yeah, I think he's down now. I think they called forward progress.
So Buffalo using a timeout. They have 1 left. Ziggy Hood with the wraps around Marquise Goodwin.
Well, we've seen we've seen pressure just about every snap from this Pittsburgh defense. If you're E.J. Manuel, you have to be anticipating pressure. Somebody's going to come free. You're not going to have a lot of time to hold the football. I don't know where Scott Chandler is. I'd like to see the big, tall, 6'7" tight end on the field somewhere.
There's 5 seconds remaining. Manuel throwing. It is caught for the touchdown. Chris Gregg, the rookie from Arkansas, with his first NFL touchdown. This is one that's good for the head. That's about it at this point.
Yeah, and last night we had a preview of this. Doug Marrone said he really likes Chris Gregg. He was a receiver at Arkansas, led the team as a junior. And he's a guy that's not the biggest tight end, but a guy when they use their 3 tight end sets, I think you're going to see a lot more of in the second half of the season.
Dan Carpenter on for the extra point. Still 3 seconds remaining. Coming up following the Steelers and the Bills, we will switch over to the Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals. And coming up later on, Peyton Manning and the Broncos going up against Phillip Rivers and the Chargers, or some areas, the Texans and the Cardinals.
I think Mike Tomlin's upset, Marv. I think he felt that maybe Chris Gregg got out of his stance a little bit early.
Well, upset because the score 23-3 sounds much better, particularly when you're coming off what took place last week. Did not want to give up a touchdown at this sport.
They were looking to pitch a shutout in terms of the touchdowns anyway, holding the team to a field goal. I think he's frustrated. Watch the tight end. I think he leaves a little bit early before the ball snapped. And that's why he felt like there should have been a false start by the offense. They might have gotten away with one. You see the frustration from Mike Tomlin. That's why he was yelling at the officials.
So this should do it. Carpenter kicks it off to Felix Jones, puts it on the ground, plays the high hop, and that will conclude matters. A 23-10 win for the Steelers. They go to 3-6, stop the losing streak at 2. The Bills drop to 3-7. They've lost 3 in a row, 5 of their last 6. They've lost the last 5 to the Steelers. And Ben Roethlisberger with his 100th win as a starter. So for Rich Gannon, Marv Albert saying so long from Pittsburgh. You've been watching the NFL on CBS. Now to James Brown in our New York studios after this message.